Hello and welcome to A Course in Miracles 365. I'm your host, Tomas Garza. And as always today, we have a very beautiful lesson from the workbook for students here in A Course in Miracles. And thank you all, as always, for joining me from all over the world. So we have literally had an international audience. And if you're just joining me today for the first time, this live stream is a daily live stream here on Enlightened World Network. And I aim to, in 15 to 20 minutes, not only have some live interaction and some dialogue with all of you, but also to deliver my experience on this really wonderful spiritual text, A Course in Miracles. And I invite you to go back here on Enlightened World Network's YouTube channel, where there is an ACIM 365, that's the title of this live stream, A Course in Miracles 365. There's a playlist with all of the past episodes, and I've been doing this for about 6 weeks now. In fact, I think it's exactly 6 weeks today. And in that time, I've learned a great deal. It's said in common parlance that no one ever learns as much as the teacher. You may find that to be true in your life. A Course in Miracles also says that we teach something in order to learn it, or to learn it better as well. And I've learned a great deal about this wonderful spiritual text that has literally been, for me, the focus of my spiritual practice for the last 8 years. This is something that I picked up in 2013 after decades, really, of looking and studying various world spiritual traditions, including Christianity and Buddhism and others. And this really spoke to me. So if you've been following along, I hope that it speaks to you just as loudly, just as lovingly, and just as poignantly as it did to me. And if you've been following along and you're not sure, that's all right. Just keep following along. And as the workbook says, we don't actually have to embrace every single one of these lessons, nor are we expected to. Why? Because they are aimed to challenge our egocentric point of view and present an alternative to that. Now, what happens? The ego doesn't like that. It wants to keep us small, basically. It is fear itself, and it wants to keep us small and little and stuck in the same rut. And that's what it aims to do. The beauty of that is we have free will, which we have never lost, and the power of choice, which we'll talk about with today's lesson. So thank you all again for tuning in. That's a little bit of a brief backdrop. Again, if you're just joining us, welcome, and please feel free to go back and watch on the YouTube channel for Enlightened World Network some of the previous videos. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. So welcome aboard. Lesson 34 here today says, I could see peace instead of this. All right, we've been looking at workbook lessons that are leading us to a different perception of our experience, of the world, of the people in it. We could see peace instead of what we currently see. Now, for you, that might be frightening. You might be in quite a state of fear right now. If you are, you are. Okay. We could be seeing things from a standpoint of grief and deep sadness or lack, depression, anxiety, worry, stress, you name it. Lesson 34, we could see peace instead of this. Now, one of the things that, if you've been practicing some form of a spiritual tradition or meditation or yoga, whatever that looks like for you. This may sound obvious until we actually go to practice this, and then you realize, well, we actually do, in fact, need this repetition because our habitual tendencies keep coming up, and you may find yourself falling back into the same patterns of thought and of behavior that you have entertained for lifetimes immemorial, right? We're conditioned this way, and we're we're interrupting our regularly scheduled programming happily. All right. So we can see peace instead of what we see right now. And now it's all internal. What happens, and this may seem obvious to the spiritual practitioner, but we need repetition of the obvious, don't we? It's that peace of mind is an internal matter, as it says here in the commentary. It's an inside job, right? If we have a peaceful mind that emanates outward, we teach peace, we are peace, we extend it and shoot it out into the world. If we are worry or fear, hate, if we're feeling vindictive, that's what we emanate out into the world. So our internal world, in fact, is the cause of our external world. It's what we see is the result of our own minds, and the power that is inherent in that is tremendous. It's nothing other than the power of God. That's what we are. And we have the ability, should we choose to do it, to change the way we see everything, to completely alter our entire experience, both individually and collectively, as we extend that out into the world. Extend peace. It has to begin with your own thoughts. So, what do we do if we're overwhelmed with all of these other thoughts of fear, sadness, anxiety, depression, worry? Well, enter the workbook for students. We simply practice this idea. Practice today's idea. From your own peaceful mind, a peaceful world will arise. Okay. From your own peaceful mind, a peaceful world will arise. That is how you will perceive things. That is how they will appear to you. This does work. If it seems like it's incredible, well, that's okay. I invite you to just try it and see how it works out for you. But really try it, not just think about it, right? The workbook involves our actual doing of something. Because nothing gets manifested or created, does it, if we simply hold the thought and don't take any action. That's not enough, right? And the action that we take is in the present moment when we decide that we're going to choose love, whatever form that takes. And if we're looking at lesson 34 in the workbook, it's a decision that you make when you remember today's lesson to practice. That's it. That's it. That's really literally all that we need to do. But we do need to be diligent, and we do need to make a habit out of that. Now, what happens when you do? Your entire world changes. Your entire world changes. You see, quite literally, a different world. You see things differently. So it's all internal. What we do in the world is, of course, the exact opposite of this, isn't it? We tend to think of happiness as outside of us. That's why people get frustrated with spirituality. That's why they get frustrated with manifestation techniques. All right, so you got a new car. Congrats, right? Does it make you happy? Now, happiness can't be found in external objects, can it? It's internal. Yeah, it's internal. So the mind, yes, can create circumstances that bring us a Rolls Royce or $1 million. But happiness is entirely internal. It can't be found, literally cannot be found outside. Why? As we're seeing in the workbook, external objects don't really ultimately matter. They don't ultimately exist. What ultimately exists is our own nature, our own reality, which is love, and it's none other than the power of God. So, what more could you want? The Course says throughout that a tranquil mind is not a small gift, and it's not. It is not at all a small gift. Ask yourself, would you rather be stressed or would you rather be calm? Which do you prefer? Stress is a badge of honor in a lot of modern societies. I live in the United States, and it certainly is cool in certain circles to run around frantic. Well, how's that working out for you if you are happy? Truly happy. I mean, you may live in another country and some of those, it's exactly the same, isn't it? Because we all think of happiness as outside of us, and if your happiness comes from someone else's point of view of seeing you as a wonderful diligent person because you're running around stressed and you're overscheduled and you can't actually do anything because you've scheduled 19 different things at once, how's that working out for you, really? Really? I mean, I hope that you ask yourself that. Real happiness can't be found outside of us. Happily, we're perfectly complete as we are, and we always have been. We always have been. So, workbook lessons like this help orient the mind toward peace. They are one of the ways back. And really, we'll discover when we get there that we haven't really gone anywhere at all, that there's never been any place really to go. We just peel off veils, if you will, layers and blinders that are blinding us to the truth of who we are. Who put them there? We put them there. So we had the power to put them there. Guess what? We have the power to remove them. We just have to choose to do so. That's all. So practice on day lesson 34 for these workbook lessons is getting longer, right? At this point, I have heard from and seen a lot of people start to give up. I hope that you do not do that. Why? Because peace is a tremendous, tremendous thing to have in your life. And if you look at somebody that's speaking on a worldwide forum, that someone that might be somebody that you admire, someone that is talking about personal growth, transformation, spirituality, just know that that person has just done a lot of this. We've fallen asleep in meditation a lot. Many, many times we've made mistakes. We've forgotten to do the day's lesson in the workbook for students. We've remembered it late at night when we were exhausted and ready to go to bed, right? We've just made the decision to continue. And the Course is very, very good about this. It invites us to choose yet again. Every moment of every day, we make a choice. Are you choosing love or are you choosing fear? And if you choose love, you'll have a completely different and new experience. So, as you go through these exercises, don't worry if you don't follow them exactly to the T, to the letter. If you can, fantastic, fantastic. You will really begin to feel the difference. If you cannot, don't worry about it. Just do it as you remember to do it. And that is good. That is very good. Remember to do it. That's excellent. And just these can be done at any time. If you can look around and say, okay, I could see peace instead of what I see right now. I could see peace instead of this. If something arises in your mind to disturb you, it's something you can easily do to remember and say, I could see peace instead of this. So, whatever you see, if it's not peaceful, you could, in fact, see peace instead of this. Okay, so let's see who's joining us today. This is a part that I really love because I really love and enjoy the interaction with all of you. And I really love and appreciate all of you. And thank you for tuning in here today and every day, frankly. Yeah, so we've got some definitely some new people joining us today as I'm bringing up the comment thread. Thank you, thank you. Yes, Deirdre and Robert, hello. And yes, so we've got Lorraine joining us. Cindy, hello. So, if you all ever have any questions or comments about A Course in Miracles or about spirituality in general, feel welcome to type them here in the comments because I do look at and I do read these comments and I will get back to you. And this is just, it's very interesting because a Course in Miracles brings up a lot of questions. And in my opinion, any authentic spiritual path, any spiritual path worth the time in engaging on should bring up a lot of questions for you. And question and answer inquiry is really, it's part of the process. So I'm here to be a help and a resource for all of you. So please feel free to ask. And I really, really appreciate all of you tuning in to this live stream. And if you're just joining me, let's see a couple of new names here. This is daily. It's a daily live stream. Check the show guide for the day for Enlightened World Network right here on their Facebook page. And if you haven't liked the page and followed it yet, please do that. This is really wonderful programming from a lot of different spiritual teachers and light workers from all over the world, different backgrounds. There's a lot of beautiful programming here on this network, and I really thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you back here again tomorrow. Everyone have a great day, and thank you again for joining.